Hey guys, welcome back to Media Talks TV with your host Tony J. I know it's been a minute since I dropped a video. I hope everybody has had a wonderful Thanksgiving. It's December, so I'm gonna get right back into it. You know, I haven't been on this channel, haven't posted a lot because mainly because I've been busy. So forgive me if I haven't been posting as frequently as I should. Sometimes I post videos every 2 weeks per se. So I'm trying to get back in the groove of posting consistently. But you know, like I said, I hope everybody has had a wonderful Thanksgiving and I hope everybody is preparing for this Christmas because it's definitely going to be different now that we have you know job market is kind of scarce right now. But I wanted to come back on here and continue a couple of conversations. And in these sets of three videos, you know, I think I'm just going to do something a tad bit more different than what I'm normally accustomed to. I might just set up like a segment because I've been talking about travel videos for a while and I've been putting up travel videos. So I've kind of stepped back from the channel a little bit to see what the analytics are, what type of videos you guys like. And most of the stuff has been mostly travel content and mainly stuff that I talk about pop culture from time to time. But those videos are kind of a hit or miss. But I want to start making myself a lot more present on this channel. And I'm actually going to gear up to maybe do another segmentation of my channel or just an offshoot, maybe a series called Media Thoughts. So I might just give random perspectives that are not going to be too long like my long form videos, but are going to be probably short form thoughts in the media. And I might throw those on maybe the YouTube shorts or whatever. But I'm trying to get more engagement on my content. And I know that requires a lot more work of me, being that YouTube uh, responds more to consistency rather than me just throwing a video up here every now and then. So I'm gonna try and take this seriously, and I'm gonna try to focus and zero in and really lock in on trying to improve this channel. But the topic that I want to talk about today that concerns me, and of course, I've had several videos up talking about the passport bros and talking about what needs to improve. But I'm also seeing a lot of how I would say I'm also seeing a lot of very, how would I put this? The travel space has gotten a lot ghetto over the past couple of months because all these countries right now that these guys are traveling to, Colombia, Cartagena, Dominican Republic, everything right now in the travel space has kind of been thrown into disarray. And because of the recent changes in Sosua, it's kind of put a juggernaut in content creating in the travel content space, because now they don't have that area to depend on anymore to do the type of content that they normally do, which was centered around the women. And if you look at a lot of the videos online, most of the videos online are reposted content from 2 years or 3 years ago of what Sosua looked like or what Dominican Republic or Colombia looked like. They're reposting and repurposing their videos to say this is what Colombia, Sosua, Dominican Republic looks like right now. It's still baddies out there. It's still women out there. And it's not entirely true. And this is why one of the primary reasons why, as a traveler, you have to be very careful where you get your information, because a lot of these travel spaces had become hotbeds for the promotion of prostitution. And not to say anything about that, because in those countries, it's legal, but it's not entirely, the laws are not entirely enforced. Like the government looks the other way on that. But what I really want to really tackle the issue with the travel space and the passport bros is, I feel like the passport bros have become its own form of the Source Awards. And if anybody is familiar with that, the Source Awards is probably like the most ghetto, most ratchet award ceremony that you could be at, because it brings with it a lot of problems and a lot of issues. Um, if anybody is familiar with the 1995 Source Awards with the East Coast West Coast rap beef, um, if you've seen videos and imagery of that, you know what I'm talking about. If you're my age or older, you know what the Source Awards is about. Well, now here, especially in the travel space, we have become more prone to YouTube beefs. And a lot of that is going on. And I'm noticing that people calling out other people on certain platforms, calling somebody lame. Like, I'm seeing that behavior being put out, and it's getting to be worse, because now it's like it puts a, a target on black men's backs. Now, if you indulge in what you indulge in, that's fine. I have no problem with that. I have no qualms with that. But the issue that I have with the travel content space, is that it's too much emphasis on women, too much emphasis on drinking and smoking weed and all this other ratchet shit that you would normally find in your typical hood in the States. And it's like particular groups from New York, in particular, Atlanta, and Miami, have been people that have come from these areas and say that they represent the Passport Bro movement have irreparably damaged the reputation of a lot of countries, mainly because their content, they depend on that money and them ad revenues to promote their content online. It pays for them to travel. But the thing about the travel space is YouTube is not a permanent source of income. And as time goes by, those revenue sources begin to change and shift. And most ad revenue doesn't really help the average content creator, especially on this platform. And I honestly feel like because these men want to travel to these places, they use YouTube as a source of trying to promote that said country. But in the end, that content can do damage to that reputation of that country and the tourism of that country. And people forget, you know, we're not the only ones that actually go to Colombia or go to Dominican Republic. There are still families that still travel to Dominican Republic and Colombia. And now you have an issue with Colombia cracking down on gringos. And I feel like Colombia is going to be on its last leg because there's a war brewing in Venezuela. And Colombia may be forced to really be in cahoots with the Venezuelan government. And so right now, it looks like Colombia will not be on one of those lists of countries that we may be able to visit. If there's a war going on in Venezuela, which is going to be very imminent in a couple of months, Colombia may, I mean, United States might not allow Americans to go to Colombia anymore because they're on the border. Aruca, Papayan, all these areas, um, in what was that border? Cucuta. Cucuta is on the border of Venezuela. So if a war decides to break out and Colombia is in the middle of that, and we have the issue with Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela, the likelihood of Colombia being pulled into a war with Venezuela will probably be imminent because people don't forget that Venezuela and Colombia were one country. Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador and Peru were all one big country called Grand Colombia at one point. So Petrov and Maduro most likely might be working together to defend itself against the United States. And this is not what you really want. So I would say to the brothers to maybe reconsider going to Colombia at this point. Reconsider and rethink. There's lots of other better places to go than to go to Colombia. But to get back to the main point of this video, um, the beefs between black men on these channels is getting to be ridiculous. And I know people want to travel, but I also know that there's just a certain mindset that just was never really mentally prepared to travel overseas. And I'm talking about a lot of these hood dudes. And I'm not going to call them out by name, but you know. You know who they are. I don't have to name names. They should know who they are. But you got a lot of guys going to these places and again, same behavior, sticking cameras in people's faces, not knowing the language, throwing up gang signs, smoking weed. And you can't, and that's another thing too. When you go to these other countries, you can't do the same shit that you normally would do in the United States. Other places, drugs are frowned upon. Now, I don't know what Thailand stands on weed is and smoking weed, but I wouldn't even fuck around with it. I wouldn't play when it comes to Thailand because if you smoke I mean, to me, anytime you mess around with marijuana in another country, you're subjected to those laws. And whether you believe it or not, if you go and mess with drugs in Thailand, your ass can go to prison. Period, point blank. I wouldn't fuck around with drugs in any other country because that's a permanent vacation. And the only thing a US embassy can do for you is maybe send an American lawyer, but they can't get you out of jail. They can send an American lawyer, but you are subjected to their laws. And from what I hear, Thailand, the price of using drugs in Thailand is the death penalty or life in prison, either one. So, like I said, a lack of cultural competency is what's going to get a lot of these people in trouble. And anytime one passport bro gets in trouble, what happens is word gets around and then somebody sends some misinformation out onto these blogs saying, "Oh, somebody got locked up in Thailand. Oh, black folks can't go to Thailand because Thailand's racist towards blacks." And then they put that information out and it's not true, and then it causes a frenzy. And we don't have a source, a reliable source of information. So when somebody gets pinched in another country because they did something they had no business doing, then you got some bozo ass nigga online talking about, oh, yeah, don't go here. They'll lock your ass up. They don't like black people. Da 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 da. And then they'll get online and then they'll do a podcast and then they'll tell other black men not to go to that country. And then that's when the fear mongering begins. And I said the same shit back on other previous videos about content creators and the frenzy that they cause not getting reliable information and reliable sources. And turn around the minute the crackdown happened in Sosua, we kept hearing, oh, don't go to Dominican Republic. They're locking up black men for paying for pussy. That was a misinformation. That was a bad rumor. It got spread around, and the frenzy and the panic started. Then the next thing happened where they said, "Oh, they're kicking black businesses out. They don't want our money," and then so on and so on and so on. And then, of course, once you have that, then there's other issues that most people won't understand. You have the doors wide open to getting scammed, mainly by a lot of content creators. Some content creators, I know a lot of content creators, they got to make money. You got content creators that have been on YouTube for almost going on 7 years, and then they get websites, and then they put the links in their descriptions, and then they lead you to their PayPal or they stupid ebook that's like 79.99 for fucking 4 pages. Like just insane shit that a lot of these travel content creators do. Like I think you might know who I'm talking about with this because he creates content and then he has all these ebooks and they cost almost $70 for fucking 20 pages. And it'd be thin ass books with a bunch of deep, pixelized pictures on them and shit, or PDFs that cost $100. It's stupid shit like that is the primary reason why I say that the Passport Bros has become a lot ghetto. You got grifters that claim they're experts but really aren't. You have the ghetto content creators that put out streams, like they just strictly stream, calling other men lames and saying, I pull more bitches than you. Saying, I pull more bitches than you in the suit. And then you got the e-beggars. And the e-beggars are the ones that get on my fucking nerves because they ask people to fund their vacation. They're the worst type of content creators. They're the ghetto ass content creators, the low down, dirty ass ghetto content creators. I remember I saw this one guy and he creates content on Brazil. And I remember this nigga spent at least 3 months asking motherfuckers for money to go back to Brazil. And he was walking around alone like the nigga got a cock eye. And he was like, bring Bubba back to Brazil. Bring Bubba back to Brazil. Bring Bubba. I'm like, this shit is fucking ridiculous. Y'all actually gave this nigga money to go back to Brazil. For what? And now he's broke back in the States, still walking on the same fucking highway, asking y'all niggas for money. Or the other one who got stuck in Sosua and was asking people to fund his plane ticket back home. He said, I ran out of money, so I can't get back home. So help me fund. I'm like, how you spend all your fucking money? How you spend all your money and couldn't get back home? It's ridiculous. I mean, a lot of these content creators are going out bad. And now, right now, because the sue isn't what it was now, you got a lot of content creators trying to big up Thailand. Now you got more motherfuckers going to Thailand trying to ruin that shit. Oh, go to Thailand, go to Thailand, go to Vietnam, go to Panama, go to Havana, Cuba. Like, no, no, not again. And then a whole group of y'all niggas, y'all run around like a pack of wild dogs, and then wonder why Colombia doing the shit that they doing right now, checking your phones, running through all your shit, asking you questions, and then turning you back around on a fucking plane. You put a target on your backs with this content creation shit, not giving out real information, not doing the cultural research, and not doing what is necessary to keep you sustainable while you're overseas. And then the last one, the very last one I'm going to talk about and discuss is the dirty content creator. Well, the dirty content creators, and these are the worst ones. They go overseas, then they talk dirty about the country because they can't get none in that country. Most countries are not going to tolerate this bullshit of you coming at women like they're prostitutes. And I know a lot of these guys do that because of the stigma that is created from Dominican Republic. But if you go to a place like Kenya or South Africa or Ghana, all these places, you can't do what you did in DR, you can't do there because there's certain customs and rules to where the women are not going to tolerate that shit. And that's one of the primary reasons why I got away from that shit. You got one content creator that set up there and talk dirty about a particular country, talk about the women were ugly, and then you had people, so many people that got tired of certain groups of Black Americans that they don't want to associate with. You got streamers, and I watch a couple, but they don't make straight form videos. It's always them on their cell phone, and their cell phone always breaks up, or they have the camera pointed towards the ground. Like, I don't understand how You can create content and upload that sloppy shit and not give solid information to other travelers that want to go there. And that's the biggest problem with a lot of those content creators. They stand around, they go live, and for some odd reason, they got the camera pointed to the fucking window. They don't sit in the camera too much, or they'll have the camera on, and then they'll have a fucking woman in the background that don't understand. That he can't even fucking understand her Spanish, and that's the problem with a lot of these dirty content creators. Don't make quality content, but the ad revenue pays for their low quality content. Thing I realized about the passport bro movement is when I think about it, you got to have information of value to give to other people. If you're not going to give that information, then you shouldn't be online. One of the problems that I'm still noticing with the passport bros, they don't show their source of income and how they make money planning all these trips. Like 1 minute they going to Brazil, 1 minute they going to DR, 1 minute they going to Thailand, 1 minute they going to Vietnam, Bali, all these fucking places. But how do you have all that money to spend? What is your source of income? And don't tell me it's fucking YouTube because you only got like 1,000 subscribers, and most of them do. They got small channels, but yet you don't have any other sources of income. Now, if you do, you're grifting off of people. But then it's the other thing that they do, which I kind of got get annoyed by, is they'll be beefing with other content creators online that they don't like. But if the passport bro thing is going to last, you're definitely going to have to consider more than likely that you'll have to build some type of automated business just to support the traveling aspect. But we don't really discuss it because we don't have any organization around that shit. If we were real passport bro people or men, we would be looking at investment opportunities overseas. And also, not just to go over there and run through a bunch of women, but also get married and have families outside the United States. The United States is getting to be a horrible place. It's getting to be a horrible place. And even I know for a fact, right now is a golden opportunity to start building something overseas. But do these guys ever talk about building something overseas? No. Do they talk about the businesses they could have? No. They talking about how many women they running through and how many women they can pull, how much game they have, and a mouthpiece. It's just ridiculous. And a lot of these people, they end up coming back from overseas broke, having to look for a job. It's like that passport dog guy came, didn't create no content for a year. People thought he was missing. Came back home, broke as fuck. Been in Colombia for about 4 years. And I watched Passport Dog probably around 2018 or 2017. And the motherfucker is broke. Came back home with no money. No money at all. And that's what I find very, very problematic. Another one was living in DR, renting a home for $375 a month. He's back in Arizona because he's broke. He has no source of fucking income. All these people that said that they were going to make their lives overseas but have nothing, no source of income to sustain themselves, no skill set, no nothing. Got to come back home. They paint you a picture and then hop on a plane there for 3 months, and then they had to get their ass back home. You can't stay in Thailand no more than 3 months, and then after that you gotta take your ass home. Ain't no gonna be running across the border multiple times. It's not gonna happen. You gotta take your ass back home to your home country, do the visa process all over again, then come back. People were pissed off at Thailand, man. It's crazy. But all this stuff, calling people lames and talking about how many women they could bed and like that shit has to stop. It's getting old. And I'm starting to see this mentality in the passport bro movement. This is it's not subsiding. We had to have a new containment over the information that's being put out because some of the stuff is an illusion on one hand and then misinformation on the other. And the fantasy and the illusion does not last with these guys. That's why we have to be molded and being realistic in what we put out to the masses. Remember, you have your own platform, but you got to be responsible with that platform. That's my rant. Thank you for tuning in to Media Talks TV. Be back next week. Got another video coming up. Make sure you hit the like before you leave and subscribe because I got another video coming up soon. And I'm out. Peace.